The senator from Texas just spoke on the floor here about the number of children coming across the border into the United States, and the numbers are frightening. They're so large. And we had a hearing today with Jay Johnson, who's the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and a lot of questions were asked if actions by our government or statements by our president are luring these children into the United States. Let me make the record clear. There is nothing about the president's executive order involving those we call dreamers, children brought to the United States, which would lead any of these families or children to believe that they could qualify to be treated as qualified for DACA, that is, deferred deportation, because they would be eligible dreamers. None of these children would be eligible, period. So the suggestion that this executive order has anything to do with luring these children in the United States is wrong. Second, there is turmoil in Mexico and Central America. That is a fact. And I'm sure that that is a factor in decisions being made by some to leave. But there is something that's been overlooked here time and again, which needs to be said. There's a Pulitzer Prize-winning book entitled Enrique's Journey. The author is an LA Times writer named Sonia Nastasio. She started following the paths of children coming into the United States from Mexico and Central America, and even South America. Here's what she found after her investigation: 48,000 children a year coming across the border into the United States, some as young as 7 years old, half of them without any escort. How do they get in? Well, many of them jump on freight trains. Can you imagine? 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old jumping on a freight train to come into the United States, trying to get here by themselves, half of them by themselves. Why? 75% gave the same reason: to find my mother, to find my father. That's what's bringing so many of them into the United States. What happened? Mother left that village in Mexico or somewhere in Central America and came to the United States. She works hard now and sends money home, and occasionally will send toys at birthdays and Christmas and exchange photographs. And heartbroken children get on these trains and try to find them. They found a 9-year-old boy walking around Los Angeles. Asked him where he was going. He said, "Where is San Francisco?" He was trying to find his mother. That is the reality and the heartbreak of what is happening at our border when it comes to children. So many times over. The lucky ones make it. Many don't. A survey done by the University of Houston found over and over again these kids on their way are starving, they're beaten, they're robbed, they're raped over and over again. Some are pushed onto the train, some die, some are maimed. That is the reality. And what does it tell us? As we step back and look at this, what does it tell us? It tells us what we already know. Our immigration system in America is broken. It is flat out broken. I know this, and everyone else does too. 12 million people living amongst us, some of whom have been here for decades, worried about being deported tomorrow, with a household where the wife and mother may be a citizen, the children may all be citizens, but one person in the household is not. That is our broken immigration system. Well, Congress, stop talking about it. Do something about it. Mr. President, we did. We did, and you were here. It was a little over a year ago. We put together a bipartisan coalition of senators, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, I was one of them, and we sat down and worked out for months a comprehensive immigration reform to finally fix this broken immigration system and start to end some of the tragedies that we know are happening to children, to their parents, all across America. We worked on it for months. And it was a pretty interesting coalition. It included John McCain, well-known Republican senator from Arizona. Lindsey Graham, Republican senator from South Carolina. Marco Rubio, Republican senator from Florida. Jeff Flake, Republican senator from Arizona. On our side, Chuck Schumer of New York, Bob Menendez of New Jersey, Michael Bennet of Colorado, and myself. And we worked on it for months, and we produced a comprehensive immigration reform bill that was endorsed by virtually every major labor organization and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And you go through the list of virtually every religion in America, major religion endorsed it. It was an amazing bipartisan product, and I was proud to be part of it. And prouder even more when the day came that we passed it on the floor of the U.S. Senate with 68 votes. Republicans, Democrats, we did it. What happened to it? We sent it to the U.S. House of Representatives, where it has languished for over a year. For over a year, they refused to call this bill. Now, senators who come to the floor, who voted against the reform, and who don't acknowledge the obvious, that the Republican House will not even call this bill for debate and a vote, and just want to come here and criticize the current immigration system in America, aren't telling you the whole story. The whole story is we need to fix this system top to bottom. Yes, a path to citizenship, but a path to citizenship which eliminates those with serious criminal records, we don't want them, makes those who want to enter this path pay a fine and learn English, and make sure as well that they are paying their taxes to our country. Then we'll put them on a path to citizenship where they can be at the back of the line. Under our bill, it would take a person 13 years before they became a citizen. All that time, they're paying their fines, they're learning English, they're doing what they're supposed to do, and subject to regular questioning as to any problems that might be in their lives we should know about. That's what the bill does. So when I hear people come to the floor and say, you know, this immigration system is sure broken, I agree completely. It's a tragedy to think thousands of children are crossing the border in search of their parents, as young as 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, teenagers, being preyed upon. I just had in my office the ambassador of Ecuador to the United States of America, and we talked about this issue. And she told me the story of a 12-year-old girl whose mother and father were in New York, and this heartbroken girl decided she had to, at any cost, be reunited with them. And she jumped on one of those trains, and she was apprehended by Mexican authorities. The parents found out about it, tried to find her. They put her in an orphanage. She was going through the Mexican legal system, and the next thing it was announced, this 12-year-old girl had committed suicide. Questionable, but still a tragedy. And this ambassador from Ecuador said, I can't tell you what that did to our country. It broke our hearts to think that little girl was just trying to find her mom and dad. We can do better. We can be better. And all the excuses in the world don't count when it comes to this issue, because we are a nation of immigrants, my friends, all of us. You may have to go back several generations. In my case, not very far. My mother was an immigrant to this country. I'm lucky, standing on the floor of the United States Senate representing a great state like Illinois. That's my story. It's my family's story. That's America's story. That's who we all are. And why can't we, in our generation, embrace the reality of immigration, fix this broken system, make sure that we have security on the border, to stop as much as we physically can the flow of illegal immigration, and to make sure that those that are here are reporting to our government so we know who they are, where they work. All these things will make us a better and stronger nation.